The story begins with a young woman standing quietly in a lavender field, gazing into the distance. Around her, a vast expanse of lavender stretches all the way to the horizon. A little girl came running toward her with a bright smile and said, "Mom," she says, "Eluana." Just as the little girl was about to reach her, iron prison bars suddenly appeared between them. She turned around and began walking away. Eluana speaks, "Mom, don't leave me." Meanwhile, Eluana was sleeping in a prison cell. In her dream, she was seeing all of this. She called while sleeping, "Mom." Then suddenly she woke up and said, "I'm hungry. I should split the stew before Louis wakes up." Food was placed in front of her. She ate it, and then mixed soap with water and drank it. Then suddenly a boy called her from behind, "Sister." Eluana turned back and said, "Louis, you're awake?" His name is Louis and he is her younger brother. At that moment, Eluana serves the food and says, "Here, eat up. I was so hungry, so I've already eaten." Seeing soup, Louis asked, "But sister, why is the soup so watery?" Eluana began to think, "I wonder, maybe because I added water? He's as small as a bean but still so sharp." Then Eluana says, "Drink a lot of water. I know you aren't full yet." On a country estate trip to Aden, the first prince of the empire, Regis Pejumal Portona, killed people for a number of different reasons. He's a jerk. If it rained, if he was in a bad mood, because they failed to greet him. To him, anything was reasonable enough for the death sentence. Meanwhile, Prince Regis comes to Eluana. Seeing him, Eluana began to think, "You crazy bastard of an emperor." Then Prince Regis asked, "Did you come out because it's your last? Why don't you just tell me where Ran Vita is? Since it seems you finally have the heart to do so." Eluana replied, "I have no idea. My father goes around without any destination in mind. No schedule, no planning, nothing." Prince Regis said, "Really? Then there's nothing we can do. It seems you're going to get hit again today. It'll be your 18th whipping." When she turned to receive the whip, her waist was bleeding. Then she says, "I'll take the hits myself." At that moment, Louis ran and stood in front of Eluana and speaks, "I'll get hit instead." Eluana said, "Move, Roy. Sister's gonna get mad." Louis added, "I don't want to." Seeing this, Prince Regis asked, "How desperate? So who will get hit?" Eluana replied, "I'm right about everything." Then Prince Regis said, "Open the door." Then the guards started opening the lock. At that moment, Louis began to think, "Please, don't open it." Eluana stood silently with her eyes closed. The lock wasn't opening. Prince Regis asked, "Why is this? You can't even open something as simple as this?" Guard replied, "About that, it won't open." Prince Regis struck him with a whip, and blood came out of his eye. He shouted loudly, "My eye!" Then Prince Regis speaks, "You useless thing, have it opened by the time I return from the forest." He says, "Yes." When Prince Regis left, the guard also got up and ran away. At that moment she think, "What's going on?" Then Louis shouted loudly, "Older sister is a fool." At that moment, 2 guards brought a boy and threw him into the prison with Eluana. Seeing him, she think, "Who is that person?" Mom died the day Louis was born. Father had gotten into a carriage accident, so I became Louis's only family and the head of the house. But the problem was that the sword became too well known. Then she remembers that one day Prince Regis came to the shop and said, "I heard that Ran Vita's famous sword is here. Let's compete with the prince's sword to see if the rumors are true." She began to think, "Jerk, how can that sword beat a real dwarf-crafted sword? I think he's going to swing the sword." Then he struck that sword with his sword. His sword broke, and seeing this, she was surprised and began to think again. But the rumors really are true. Oh my God! Then Prince Regis says, "Magic! There must be a magical spell. Otherwise, the crown prince's sword can't possibly break. How dare you deceive me? Put those 2 in prison and catch Ran Vita." So that's how Louis and she got locked up. The boy was lying there silently. Seeing him, she think, "But who is he? It's not a face I've seen around Aden." She asked, "Is he dead?" Then suddenly, he opened his eyes and began to think, "Where? Betrayed me. I'm poisoned. At most, I've got 3 days to detoxify it." At that moment she asked, "You're not from Aden, so why are you in this prison?" Then she think again, "If he's from Aden, maybe he lives near the western border." He replied, "I got kidnapped." "Rather than that, how did you know I wasn't someone from Aden?" she said. Aiden doesn't have 100 households. There's only 6 people I know who are of my age. Then she asked, How did you get dragged here? He replied, I was hit in the back by my escort. It was wrong of me to have trusted him. She speaks, Why is it wrong to trust someone? The person in the wrong is the one who lacks awareness. I'm going to break his legs if I find him. Then he said, I'm Karzer. You, she replied. Eluana Vita. Louis says, I am Louis Vita. Then Karzer speaks. Then Ron Vita is the author of The Radiant Mortal Night and The Silent Black Sun, right? Eluana said. Yeah, that's my dad. Then Karzer asked, You're still a noble if you're in the Vita family. Why are you here in prison? Eluana replied, Even though I'm a noble, I could still have my neck flying off. Then suddenly, she heard the sound of someone coming, and she began to think, Someone's here. At that moment, the guards came inside. They came to them and said, We'll end up like that if we don't open it right away. I don't think it's going to end with just an eyeball popping out. At that moment, she lost in thought. Move. Will I be able to fight against all 18 of them? But I would hate it if Louis got even more hurt. Then the guards cut the lock. She thought, No. At that moment, purple-colored energy began to flow out of Eluana, and the prison bars trapped the guards. Seeing this, guards was shocked and shouted loudly, What is this? Another guard shouted loudly, It's black magic. Devil! It's a devil! Then Louis said, Sister, there's a way out. Hearing this, she speaks, What? Oh, let's get out of here first. Then they suddenly started running away. At that moment, Karzer grabbed her by the arm. Eluana said, Thank you? Karzer asked, You know alchemy? Are you an alchemist? She asked. An alchemist? Karzer replied, You wouldn't be able to use alchemy if you weren't from the Spes family. She asked again, What are you talking about? Didn't you do that? He asked. You're saying I did that? She replied. Then did Louis do it? Come here, Louis. Hearing this, he think, Louis, that kid is so young. Then she smiled and says, So you're a wizard. It's my first time seeing a wizard. He speaks, Magic? I wasn't the one who did it. Then he think again. There's no way I wouldn't know if it was magic, she said. Well, it doesn't matter who did it. Let's run away. I know a dog hole. As she stepped forward, Karzer's gaze fell on her waist, and he said, You're back. She speaks. I know. I won't die from this little, though. He asked. Did Prince Regis do that? She replied. Yes. It's what that crazy man does. Then he picked up Louis and said, Just lead the way. It would be a problem if you collapsed in the middle of escaping. She says, Please then. Then Louis speaks. Yeah, sister. I don't have the energy to carry you. After a while, they reached the stairs, and Karzer asked, How many soldiers are on guard up there? She replied, None. It's usually empty here. There's only 1 or 2 servants brought by the prince. No matter how small the population is that really possible? When they came near the door, Eluana thought, It's really empty? What should I do? I need to open the door. Karzer stepped forward and opened the door. She asked, How did you open the door? You're a wizard, aren't you? Karzer replied, I'm really not. She smiled and speaks, All right, I'll keep it a secret. After all, I can get out of here because of you. After some time, they reached the hole. Seeing this, Karzer asked, How did you know about this dog hole? She replied, Louis was wandering around here before, and I had to go find him. Then they crossed the hole and reached the other side. She said, We're out. He asked, Where are we going? She replied, We can't go to a big road. We need to return to the forest. Let's stop by my house before that. Hearing this, he think, Since the detoxification isn't urgent, I suppose it's fine for me to accompany you for the time being. Then they approached an old house. She said, I'll be right back. As soon as he opened the door, the house was empty. Eluana entered the house, pushed a brick in the wall, and found some items hidden there. Then she began to think, I hid a secret compartment behind the brick. At that moment, she took a box, opened it, and found a necklace inside, which she put on. Then she opened a pouch and looked inside, and began to think, Rather than talking all the gold coins, I'll just take 20 gold and leave the rest. My mother's necklace and gold pouch. This should last us a few years. Let's get some medicine too. They hide until they reach adulthood, at which point they draw their swords once more. At that moment, they come to a lavender field. Seeing this, Karzer think, Lavender. There's a family that comes to mind when thinking of lavenders. Duke Spes Manor. Alchemy is the combination of the blood and natural talent of the Spes family, the most powerful family in the empire. So it's really related to the Spes family. After some time, Eluana came with a sword and, handing it to Karzer, said, Karzer, take this. Seeing this, he think, it's a sword made by Eluana Vita. Then Eluana hung the pouch around Louis's neck with a rope and speaks, I'm having a bit of a hard time right now, so Louis is going to take care of this for me. Louis reply, okay. Then she says, let's go. We're going through the woods. Then they suddenly started running, and after going a short distance, Karzer asked, wait, who's that in front? When Eluana saw him, the man was standing there holding an axe. As soon as he stepped forward, Karzer got ready to fight. He says, Eluana? Seeing him, she was surprised and said, Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam asked, Eluana, Louis, what happened? I heard that you guys were in prison. I didn't hear anything. Hurry, go. Then Eluana speaks, thank you, mister. At that moment, Karzer asked, is he really going to let us go just like that? Aren't we fugitives? Eluana replied, my mom and dad used to send food during every drought so that no one would starve to death. So maybe that's why our family is special. Karzer says, even still, it's best not to trust them too much. Eluana added, it's not a bad thing to trust people. It's bad to betray the ones we trust, and I trust you. If you cross over there, you'll see a path to the manor. Let's cross the street, and then head to the forest that is opposite of us. Then Eluana began to think, I've reached my limit. I feel like my back is burning. Hold up. A burning smell? When she turned back, she saw the fire spreading toward them. Eluana shouted loudly, Karzer, run! Seeing this, Karzer said, fire? Run! As soon as they started running, fire also appeared in front of them. Karzer said, there's a fire ahead of us. Eluana speaks, let's head towards the river. There must be one nearby. Karzer asked, river? At that moment, they ran toward the river. Then Eluana lost in thought. River that flows towards the Veloa kingdom. That's right. It's better to escape from the empire than to the neighboring countries. Karzer began to think, the only thing that's bothering me is, if he set the fire to lure us away, we wouldn't know if we're going to be chased. Whatever. We don't have a choice. Let's think about it later. They reached the river very soon. Then Karzer said, we'll get swept in the middle of the river. Eluana says, I understand. Karzer began to think again. Don't tell me. At that moment, soldiers came up behind them. Seeing them, Karzer went into the river and said to Eluana, hurry! Then he think, is the poison the reason why I can see things so clearly? Then he looked back at Eluana, but she was still standing there. Eluana said, take care of him. She drew her sword and, thinking quickly, began to attack them. Dad, I'm so scared. But if I could just buy them a little more time like this. All her attacks missed, and the soldiers caught her. Louis shouted, sister, sister. Karzer was moving forward in silence. Aftermath. She was lying unconscious in the prison. Then suddenly she opened her eyes, sat up, and began to think. It seems like I'm alone. Did Karzer and Louis escape safely? It seems like it. It seems like I can't get rid of the false charges. My neck is going to get served. Mom, Dad, what should I do? If I die, how is Louis going to survive alone? At that moment, a stranger suddenly appears. Seeing him coming, Eluana thinks, who is it? Regis? Then she rubs her eyes and looks again. When he comes closer, seeing him, Eluana thinks again. Blonde hair, golden eyes. I've seen that face in a portrait drawn by my mother. Don't tell me. At that moment, he asked, where's Eluana Vita? Eluana replied, I don't know, he said. You must be Stella's daughter. Hearing this, Eluana began to think. As expected, he knows my mother. Then she asked, who are you? He replied, Duke Tyrant Duan Spes. Hearing this, Eluana think. Spes? An alchemy family with power equivalent to that of the imperial family. The Duke of Spes rules the south. Then Duke of Spes asked, have you heard of my name? Eluana replied, I've heard of it. Duke of Spes said, even your voice is similar. Anyways, I think I'm your father. Hearing this, she was shocked. At that moment, she remembered when she was a child and had asked her mother, Mother, did you love my biological father? Her mother replied, I loved him. Maybe. Even more than myself. That's why you were born. Then she asked, do you not miss him? Her mother replied. I miss him. I will always miss him, until the day I close my eyes for good. Then her mother dies. Later, Eluana finds a picture in her mother's box and asks her older brother about it. Brother, who is this? Her brother replied. He's your biological father. Then she began to think. The father I thought was dead. Not only is he alive, but he's also the Duke of Spes? So, you abandoned mother and me, because it would have been a disgrace to the family to have a child out of wedlock. After a while, Eluana asked, Why did you come to find me? Then the Duke of Spes used magic, and the lock opened. Seeing this, she think, the lock. It opened. As soon as she came out of the prison, Duke of Spes reached out his hand toward her and said, Come with me. She asked, Why? Duke of Spes replied, Because I'm your father. She think, Why come now? Then she asked, Once you throw something away, it's gone. Why are you here all of a sudden? Duke of Spes replied, I didn't throw you away. She began to think again. No. Now isn't the time to look for reasons. I need to get out of here and find Louis. Then she said, Just get me out of here. I'll take care of myself. I'll stay quiet, and never show up again. At that moment, Duke of Spes knelt down on one knee and speaks. The sword that broke the crown prince's treasured sword was not made by Eluana Vita. Hearing this, she says, If it wasn't my father's sword, then, Duke of Spes speaks, You may think you've made a sword, but every sword that passed through your hands were all created through alchemy. Was created through alchemy, she said. Alchemy? Duke of Spes reply. Yes. Alchemy is what allowed those iron bars to bend. Hearing this, she think, What's alchemy? Then Duke of Spes added, Do you think an ordinary iron sword could break a sword mixed with mithril? A sword forged by a dwarf, and presented to the imperial family? Hearing all this, she think again. You came to me because of my abilities. When you heard Regis' sword was broken, you realized I could use alchemy. Then she says, Am I useful? If so, help me find Louis, my younger brother. I'll be even more useful if you treat Louis well. Hearing this, Duke of Spes said, Useful? You say. I'm telling you, you can clear yourself of the false accusation. If you reveal that the sword was made using alchemy, you'll be cleared of the charge of using magic. Even the first prince will pay the price. Then she asked, Are you willing to pay? He extended his hand forward and replied, I was already planning to find your brother and bring him here. So come with me. She asked, You're really going to find Louis and bring him to me? He replied, Of course. I swear upon my name. Eluana gently placed her hand in his outstretched hand. As she stepped forward, Duke's gaze fell on Eluana's waist, and he asked, Who laid their hands on you? She replied, Pardon? He said, I'm talking about the wound on your back. She speaks, The bastard, the first prince. No. It was His Highness, the first prince. The next morning, when Louis opened her eyes, she found herself in a damaged house and called out, Sister. Then he looked toward the Kaiser. He was unconscious. Then he went closer to him and said, Brother, are you asleep? When Louis touched him, he thought, It's cold, he says. Brother, you're not dead, right? You can't die. At that moment, he think again, I don't know where I am. I have to save my sister. Suddenly, Kaiser said, I'm not dead yet. Louis speaks, Brother. Then Kaiser began to think, I can't move my fingers. I'm glad the river carried us this far. But lighting a bonfire may be beyond my limit. There must be a search party. After a while, Louis said, Don't die, brother. Then Kaiser speaks, Louis, go up the road, behind the shack. If you walk for 1 day, you'll find a town called Jonas. Find the Starry Night Inn. Ask for help using my name. Tell them, I was poisoned. Louis, you'll have to go alone. Can you do it? Then Louis says, I can do it. Jonas, Starry Night Inn, poisoned. Then he began to think, if I go, and come back later, brother will be alone for 2 days. At that moment took some coins from her pouch and placed them in Kaiser's hand, and think again. If there's something he needs, I'll be back, brother. Please wait for me. Then Kaiser began to think, it should only take 1 day to get there, but it'll take 2 for a child. I'm not eating properly, and we're being chased. Will I be able to get there safely? Even so, once I get there, I'll find a way to survive. I'm the problem here. I was poisoned, and the slave dealer who brought me to Aden must still be tracking me. I don't know if I'll be able to hold on until Louis brings someone. Meanwhile, Prince Regis sat in his imperial villa, lost in thought. The Duke of Spes stormed into the imperial villa all of a sudden, telling me Ron Vita's sword was made using alchemy, and asking me where are the kids. Then he recalled what Duke of Spes had asked. Where are the kids? Regis replied. The second kid ran away, and I don't know where to. So that was made using alchemy. Alchemy is the Spes family's specialty. Suddenly, the leader of Deep Night entered. Regis asked, Is there anyone from the Duke of Spes's family whose location has been unaccounted for? He replied, Well, 38 years ago, the Duke's uncle, Lord Redon, ran away from home. He never returned to the family after that. Then Regis asked, Any chance Ron Vita is Lord Redon's child? He replied, As of now, the chances are very high. Didn't the Vita family go bankrupt a few years later? He might have bought his identity then. At that moment, Regis lost in thought. Things don't look good. I have imprisoned and beaten children of the Spes family. Then Regis said, So Karzer is heading over to the kingdom of Eloa. He speaks. Our people are pursuing the kids now. There'll be good news soon. Regis says, We must somehow hand Karzer over to the princess. Bury the bastard that ran away with them in a place the Duke won't be able to find. The body must not be seen. You know how much I spent to hire you, the head of one of the Empire's 3 largest intelligence organizations, Deep Night. Make it worth the money, he replied. Yes. Suddenly a servant came and said, Your Highness, the Duke of Spes brought Eluana Vita out of prison. He's outside the door right now asking to see you. Regis says, Escort him in. As soon as the Duke of Spes entered, Regis said, So you did go there. Duke of Spes speaks. I have a favor to ask of you, Your Highness, Regis said. Me? Duke of Spes added. I moved in a hurry and didn't bring anything with me. I need travel expenses. And the blood of an imperial family member. Prince Regis asked. My blood? Duke of Spes replied. The image recording sphere installed in every major imperial facility can temporarily operate without mana. It instead requires royal blood each time it is used. I'd like to use the image recording sphere in the imperial villa. Hearing this, Prince Regis says, Oh, feel free to use it. Then Prince Regis stepped forward and dropped a few drops of his blood onto the crystal ball. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the room. Your Grace. Where are you? Duke of Spes said. Aiden. Meanwhile, Eluana lay on the bed, lost in thought. In the future, I imagined. I never thought my father would come and find me. If I found Louis and went with father, would I live comfortably in a room like this? That's the best case scenario, but at worst, I'd be sold through a political marriage as soon as I arrived at the mansion. If there's any sign of that happening, I'll take Louis immediately and run away. When will the medicine on my back start working? Then she fell asleep. Meanwhile, High Priest appeared inside the crystal ball and said, Unfortunately, it's too much to send a priest by tomorrow morning to Aiden fiefdom. Duke of Spes speaks. Is that so? Then it's unfortunate too. The Spes family will not be able to make donations to the temple from now on. High Priest says, Your Grace. That's, Duke of Spes added. High Priest. Why do you think I make regular donations? High Priest speaks. I shall try to arrive before the bell rings 12 times on the second day. Hearing this, Duke of Spes says, If the child has a scar, I think I shall be forced to cut the donation in half. So I'd like to ask you, a competent priest. High Priest said. Well then, may honor always be with you. Then Duke of Spes says, Thank you for allowing us to use the communication facilities in the Imperial Villa. Prince Regis added, Isn't the Imperial family an eternal friend to the Duke of Spes family? I'm simply glad I could assist. Hearing this, Duke of Spes smiled and said, You've been a great help. I never thought I would find my family's blood relation in a place like this. The older child has an amazing talent. If we find Ron Vita, we can find out where Uncle is. At that moment, Duke of Spes lost in thought. Believe me, I'm sure you'll report whatever I say to the Empress. After I disguise Ron Vita as my cousin and hold an official funeral, the fact that Eluana made the sword can remain a secret. No one would think an 18-year-old girl could make a sword using alchemy. Then Duke of Spes asked, But what brings your highness to this place? Prince Regis replied, I'm on vacation. It's good to take a rest sometimes. Duke of Spes asked, A vacation in a place like this? Then he began to think. Aside from the fact that Aiden has an imperial villa, this is hardly an appealing place for a vacation. Come to think of it, Why is there an imperial villa in the middle of nowhere like Aden? At that moment, Prince Regis began to think, if the real purpose of my trip is discovered, I'll be in trouble. After a while, Prince Regis asked, could the Duke perhaps put in a good word about my visit before the Emperor? Duke of Spes asked, what should I say? That the prince, who isn't the crown prince, broke the crown prince's sword? Or should I say that you beat my nephew? Prince Regis replied, no, that was a mistake. You don't know. Hearing this, Duke of Spes asked, a mistake, you say? Prince Regis smiled and replied, yeah, a mistake. Then he lost in thought. Crap. The Duke of Spes has been a monster throughout history. 12 assassins were sent from the imperial family, and all were plated and displayed in the garden. After a while, the Duke removed 2 buttons from his suit and threw them toward Regis using magic. Then he said, a mistake. Regis asked, is that so? Duke replied, as soon as I find Vita and the second child, all 3 of them will be included in the family register. Regis speaks, is it really necessary to put them in the family register? Duke said, I believe these people are related by blood to an uncle who left the family about 30 years ago. I need to confirm that they will continue using the Vita family name. Then Regis says, the Vita family died 30 years ago. Didn't they buy a castle then? Duke speaks, that's also a possibility. Hearing this, Regis smiled and said, I guess I got it right. As soon as the Duke of Spes used magic, purple energy swirled around Regis and then returned to the Duke. Then some of Regis's hair fell out. Hearing this, he shouted, what are you doing? You dare point your dagger at me? Duke replied, what dagger? This is a button. Your button coming off was simply a mistake. Since I've also made a mistake, only punishing my niece would be unreasonable. Then he said, what? I'm a poor tuna. You expect to get away with treating me like this? Duke smiled and speaks, I haven't disrespected you, up to this point. Although, I'm wondering what the prince could possibly do against me. That neither the emperor nor empress could. Hearing this, he think, damn it, if only he wasn't a Spes. Then he said, it seems I was too intense. Duke speaks, it's alright. It seems I must return to the emperor now. I shall come see you again soon. He asked, why the emperor? Duke replied, we need to deal with the problem of officially registering Vita's family. Is this such important situation that it has to be discussed with His Majesty, the emperor? Hearing this, he smiled and said, yes, it seems like it. Then he think, you aren't going to tell everyone the crown prince's sword is broken, right? Duke said, then I'll go to my niece now. And, I have a favor to request, he asked. From me? What is it? Duke replied, please refrain from touching a Spes ever again because of a mistake. Then the Duke tossed the buttons in his hand and caught them again. Then he added, I would like you to know that I care deeply about the entire Spes family. Hearing this, Regis clenched his fist and began to think, did he just threaten me? He dared threaten me? Meanwhile, a mysterious light continued following Louis. Louis was sitting by the road when a carriage suddenly passed by, and he started coughing. At that moment, he began to think, what's this? It started following me earlier, and it's been doing that since then. I can't touch it, so it's not a firefly. Suddenly, some travelers stopped. A traveler asked, hey kid, are you alone? Another asked, where are you heading? Louis replied, to Yona's village. Then traveler speaks, are you running errands? If you pay me, I'll let you ride my horse. Hearing this, Louis think, if I give him 1 gold coin, will he take me to my destination? The strange lights blocked him. Then traveler says, hey kid. Louis continued thinking, what is this? These flecks of light seem to be stopping me. Then Louis said, I don't have any money since I'm on my way to my dad. Traveler says, at all? Louis replied, yes. At that moment, traveler speaks, let's go. Then the travelers left. After a while, Louis suddenly started running. As soon as he reached a carriage, the traveler asked, where are you going? There isn't any village this way. Louis replied, isn't this the road to Yones? He asked, this is the way to Yones. But are you planning to walk there yourself? What about your parents? Hearing this, Louis think, I can't tell them the truth, since I'm being chased. Then Louis replied, my dad's hurt. I have to go to my mom, who works at Counting Stars Inn. The traveler was not alone. There was a lady sitting beside him. They were actually a couple. Hearing this, lady was shocked and asked, oh my, what to do? Then he speaks, Would you be alright riding in the baggage carriage? We're heading to Yones too. Hearing this, Louis smiled and said, Thank you. Louis got into the carriage. Then Traveler says, Have you eaten? Then Traveler handed him bread. Louis split the bread into 3 pieces. Traveler lady asked, Why are you splitting it into thirds? Louis replied, So I can give it to my mom and dad. Very soon, he arrived at Yones village. Then he saw a place with Counting Star Inn written on it. He entered and looked around. A man was cleaning there. Then man stepped forward and asked, Who are you looking for? Louis replied, Brother Karzer said I could ask for help here. He said, Who? Louis speaks, Brother Karzer. He's been Middle East. Then Louis think, Was it not Middle East? Anyways, he's cold, and he can't open his eyes. Hearing this, the man knelt down and asked, Can you show me the way? The next day, when Karzer opened his eyes, he was inside the Counting Star Inn. He looked around. His hands were still trembling. Then he noticed Louis sleeping beside him. Then he think, You did it, Louis. Suddenly, Louis woke up and asked, Brother? Are you awake? Are you okay? Then Karzer replied, I am, thanks to you. Louis said, Thank God. I'll go call the master over. Brother woke up. He shouted and ran away. Then Karzer began to think, It's not as bad as Aiden, but the mana here is very thin. After a while, suddenly, a man stepped in, bowed respectfully and said, My name is Manif, the person in charge of the Counting Star Inn's Velos branch. Are you alright? I've given you medicine, but it seems you still haven't fully recovered. Karzer speaks, My case isn't one that can be cured by common medicinal care, but I know what poison it was, so please contact the capital for me, and prepare the most luxurious carriage possible, along with 6 guards, and clothes suitable for official events. Afterwards, we will leave immediately. Manif said, Understood. And then he put his hand into his coat, took out some coins, placed them on the table, and added, You had this on you. 5 gold coins? Seeing this, Karzer think, 5 gold coins? At that moment, Louis brought some soup and said, Brother, eat this. It's delicious. He gave the soup to Karzer, but his eyes fell on the coins. Seeing this, Karzer speaks, Louis, were you the one who put these into my pocket? Louis shook his head. Then Karzer added, Then let's return them to the satin pouch. Louis says, Okay. Then Karzer said, And let's go get Eluana too. We're leaving in 3 hours. Hearing this, Louis was shocked and asked, We are? But you still haven't recovered yet. Is it really okay to leave? Karzer replied, It's fine. For me to get proper treatment, I have to return to the Empire anyway. Then Louis asked, How are we going to save my sister? Should I go back through the dog hole and get her? Karzer replied, Don't worry. We'll go through the front door this time. Meanwhile, Manif brought 2 gold coins and gave them to the traveler couple. They were surprised to see this. After a while, he set out with a luxurious carriage and several official guards to pick up Eluana. After a 3-hour journey, they arrived at their destination. Louis looked outside the carriage. They were about to reach the entry gate. It is said that long ago, the dragon presented a gift to the first emperor Kanshio, the 3 blessings, and the first of these blessings, to make the empire an inviolable and sacred territory for 1,000 years. The entry gate. While you are free to leave the empire, it will never be invaded. Anyone who wishes to enter the empire must pass through the entry gate. Then Louis think, I'll brag to my sister that I saw the entry gate. Karzer began to think, Is Eluana alive? It seems like Regis was the one who orchestrated her capture, but I doubt he had her treated. Just stay alive. I'll definitely pay you guys back one way or another, because the price of my life is more valuable than it seems. Suddenly, the carriage stopped and Karzer got down. Seeing him, the people began whispering among themselves, Look over there. He isn't lining up. Is he from the imperial family? He's so handsome. The only person in the imperial family with black hair and blue eyes. The 4th Prince Karzer Arcus Portuna. Suddenly, Karzer stopped in front of a purple stone and touched it. Purple energy immediately began to flow out of it. Then the gate opened. At that moment, an official guard appeared in front of him and said, I didn't know your highness was in the Velos kingdom. Karzer speaks, I was carrying out a secret mission. I'm on my way to Aden now. Then he think, With this, my visit is now official. Then he returned to the carriage and said, Let's go, Louis. Louis asked, We don't have to wait in line? Karza replied. No, we don't. At that moment, Louis asked, Are you rich, brother? Karza replied, Something like that. Meanwhile, Eluana was standing in her imperial villa hall when the door suddenly opened, and Louis appeared in front of her. Seeing him, Eluana was shocked. Louis shouted, Sister! She ran and hugged him. Then she said, I'm not dreaming, right? Louis speaks. No one. I will make sure no one harms you again. Hearing this, Eluana laughed loudly and said, All right. Louis says, I'm serious. I'll grow up quickly, so don't die and leave me alone. Suddenly, Karzer stepped in. Seeing him, Eluana said, Karzer? He speaks. Let's go. We came here to get you. You came here to get me? Then Eluana said, Wait, did the soldiers capture you too while they were searching for Louis? Karzer says, Soldiers? Ah, we aren't here because we were caught. We came to take you back. Then he grabbed him by the arm and added, I don't know why you're in the guest room instead of the prison tower. But, let's go. Eluana said, Wait. Then he speaks. Don't worry about the first prince. If we go through the front door, he won't be able to stop us. Eluana added, No, it's just, I think I'm fine staying here. At that moment, a loud explosion occurred, and golden energy began to flow out. A figure appeared in front of them. Seeing this, they were shocked. Karzer said, Duke? As soon as he stepped forward, it was the Duke, and energy was flowing from his hand. Seeing him, Eluana says, Duke? Then Eluana's eyes fell on the energy flowing in the Duke's hand. At that moment, the energy transformed into a knife, and Eluana said, Wait a minute! He was trapped in the prison tower with me. He came to get me. Suddenly, it transformed into a ball. Then Duke asked, Will you be fine with him then? At that moment, the Duke's eyes fell on Louis, and he knelt down and speaks. You look just like Eluana Vita. In any case, why is His Highness the fourth prince here? Hearing this, she was shocked and shouted, The fourth prince? Then she recalled what she had said. Are you dead? All right, I'll keep your secret. Since we're able to escape because of you. Yeah, it's because of that crazy man. How did you open the door? As I thought, you're a wizard? He replied. I'm not. Then Louis think. He said he was rich. But for him to actually be a prince, she think. What in the… Then Karzer said, I didn't think you guys would find out this way. Then Duke says, Fourth prince, you still have yet to answer my question. He replied, One way or another, I somehow ended up like this. Duke added, I hope for an explanation so I don't misunderstand the situation. Then Karzer said, On the way back from the observation of the waterway construction at the Tana estate, Sir Hawk served me a drink laced with red fire. From what I've heard, it seems there are people willing to spend fortunes to purchase me. Hearing all this, Duke asked, Are you saying there are people who dare to buy a prince of the empire? Karzer replied, There's someone who's already been sold. Then Duke began to think. Seeing how Regis was in Aden, he must have been the one behind the scenes when Khazar was sold. At that moment, Duke speaks. It appears the Empress has crossed the line this time. Even if you were the crown prince, there would have been no helping you if you were fully poisoned by red fire. Then he asked, Did you happen to see who the instigator was? Karzer replied, I couldn't see at all. I'm better now. Although I'm not completely cured. I drank an antidote, so I should be fine. Although, I won't be able to use my aura for a while. Hearing this, Duke began to think. The Khazar that I knew had a considerable amount of aura. Seeing how he can barely use a handful of it, and it being unstable nonetheless, shows he's still poisoned. And he came here to save Eluana in this state? Why? Meanwhile, Eluana think. He protected Louis while he was poisoned, and even came to rescue me. Then Karzer said, Thanks, Eluana says. No, I thank you, Your Highness. Hearing this, Karzer smiled and speaks. I'm thankful too. At that moment, Duke said, I will repay you for helping the children of my family. How would you like to be compensated? Karzer says, If you could keep the news about me being kidnapped a secret, that'd be enough. Though there should be no evidence of that. So there's something else I would like to confirm. I want you to answer something. Are there more people like them in the Spes family? I saw a sword crafted by Eluana Vita at an auction a few days ago. Hearing all this, Duke speaks. He came to receive his payment. And when I met him, I found out he had children. He said, Of course, with abilities like those, it's given they have Spes blood. Then Duke says, It's as you say. They are children of my family. He speaks. Right. So now that I know Eluana is safe, and since I have no intention of being involved in your family matters, I will be taking my leave now. As soon as he turned around, the Duke said, Shouldn't you go cure yourself first? I'll take you to the capital to find an antidote. He says, It's all right. I'm already on my way to get an antidote. Then he suddenly stopped and said, All right, Eluana. My full name is Karzer Arcus Portuna. If you need any help in the future, come find me. Since I came here to get you, I was prepared to lose an arm for you. And you take care of yourself too, Louis. They silently looked at him, and then he left. At that moment, she asked the Duke, That guy, is he really a prince? Duke replied, Yes, the fourth prince. He grew up with trouble since he was kept in check by the first prince. Then she says, That guy. He's nothing but trash on both the inside and outside. That guy is trash, inside and out. Even if I was greedy for the emperor's seat, I would never do that to my younger brother. Duke said, That's right. He dared to this to my children and another prince? Is his liver swollen? Hearing this, she began to think, My children? And Karzer said, Children of the family too. Then, suddenly, Louis leaned in and whispered in his ear, I've seen that man in a picture before. Is he a real dad? She says, I think so. We'll be following him from now. Louis speaks. Okay. Then he stepped forward and said, Hello, sister's real dad. I'm Louis. A short while later, Eluana was lying on the bed in her room. Right beside her, Louis was fast asleep. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. She said, Please come in. A maid came and says, The priest is here, lady. At that moment, she walked over to the priest. Seeing her, priest asked, How can? You're the one who is hurt? She asked. Ah, yes. Then priest began to think. He was so annoyed that he thought someone was seriously injured. I don't know what he was thinking. Then he asked, All right. Where are you injured? She replied, At my back. Seeing this, he think, This, who treated a child this way? Then the priest placed his hand on her waist and used magic. In an instant, her wounds were completely healed. He said, It's okay now. She smiled and began to think, Both my shoulders and my back are fine. Then she speaks, I really appreciate it. I don't feel the pain anymore. Hearing this, priest think, As a servant of God, this is what I must do. Then they sit down, and the maid serves the tea. Eluana says, You look very tired. He speaks, Last night, through the teleport portal, I had to run for 16 hours straight to reach this place. Hearing this, she was shocked and said, That's because of me? I seriously apologize for that. He said, No. It's just that the Duke threatened us regarding the donation. Ha! There's no reason for you to apologize. At that moment, she began to think, Maybe a priest like him is also a noble. Yet he had to run all night. Duke Spes, with that great Prince Regis. Seems like the Duke is even more powerful. At that moment, Eluana looked at the priest and saw that he had fallen asleep. She gently laid him on the sofa and quietly left the room. As soon as she came out of the room, Duke was standing in front of her. Then she respectfully bowed and said, Have a great day. Duke asked, Have you been treated yet? She replied, Thanks for your concern. I am much better now. I appreciate it. Then Duke says, I plan to return in the afternoon. If you're tired, we can stay for one more day. She replied, No, I'm okay. Then suddenly, she heard the sound of a bell ringing and froze. It felt to her as if she was standing right next to the bell. When the bell rings, it means 12 hours have passed. Then someone spoke. Regis, carry the branches of the world tree. I will. Seeing her, Duke knelt down and asked, Was the treatment not good? Replied, No. That's because. Then Duke speaks. Just tell me. If the treatment wasn't good, I'll find another person. She added, No. Everything is fine. I'm very well. Duke says. Then, she was trembling with fear and then she said, That's, when the bell rings after 12 hours, the great prince will come. It's very scary. Duke says, I understand. But it's okay now. He speaks. I'm so sorry. It's not that I'm trying to avoid you. Duke said. It's okay. I just wanted to tell you that everything is settled. Then he asked, Do you want to have a cup of warm tea? She replied, Yes. And we can leave today. Allow me to go first. Then she stepped forward. Meanwhile, Karzer was still on the way. He was sitting in the carriage, lost in thought. There it is. A small amount of mana is still here. It's like I'm dazzled because of the mana. Louis, that kid can also see mana. Is that mean he also know how to use magic? Duke Spes will take care of it anyway. At that moment, he thought about the wizards. For the first emperor who loved to travel, there was the dragon's second blessing. Teleport portal. There are 9 teleport portals throughout the kingdom. They are located everywhere, including the north, south, east, and west. They connect vast territories across the kingdom. They could teleport entire armies in times of emergency, which means they are strategically important military bases. 5 wizards are gathering in front of a teleport portal. With that color, they must be level 3 wizards. As far as I know, there are no team with 5 wizards. They're not even wearing camouflage cloaks. Are they from the West Tower? Since the dragon disappeared, mana energy has gradually been depleted. Almost every wizard who cannot reach level 1 eventually dies. There are up to 80% of wizards in the East Tower, famous as the place where mana stones are produced. In the North Tower, wizards dedicate their powers to hunting monsters. And the mentioned West Tower, with fewer than 100 people, most of them are level 3 wizards. There are a series of illegal experiments on wizard revival. They use wizards themselves as experimental subjects. The victims are turned into slaves and forced to endure horrific experiments. They even use human body parts to create magical objects. Even so, because of the principle of the wizard, they were never punished. Can gather near Aiden. Maybe they related to some special reason. After a 3-hour journey, they finally arrived at their destination. As soon as he stepped out of the carriage, one of the guards approached him and said, "Your Highness," he asked, "where did they come from?" Hearing this, guard was shocked and replied, "Ah, yes, I received teleport permission from the royal family," he says. The royal family. Meanwhile, Eluana and Louis were traveling in the carriage with the Duke. At that time, Louis was sleeping with his head resting in Eluana's lap. She began to think, how would he react if I told him the truth about my father's death? If things become dangerous, I'll have to run away with Louis as soon as possible. Then she said, "My dad passed away in a carriage accident last year. I wanted to earn some money to survive. So, I took a sword from the smithy and sold it using my father's name. There aren't many good merchants in Aden, so I never got caught. I also received a lot of help from the people around me." Hearing this, Duke speaks, "You've suffered a lot. Don't worry. You won't have to go through that again," she says. "Ah, yes." Then she think, "I thought he would be angry because I used my dad's name. Luckily, he isn't." Then Duke asked, "Are you tired?" She replied, "Ah, no. I'm fine." Duke said, "Really?" She added, "Yes. I feel much better now. That priest is amazing. Even the scars on my hands are gone." Hearing this, Duke speaks, "I'm glad. We'll be back soon. Just wait a little longer. The carriage is slow, but traveling by carriage is much easier." She says, "Yes." Then Duke asked, "How much do you know about magic?" She replied, Leaves can turn into gold? Why didn't I think of this sooner? Dad, I'm going to become extremely rich." At that moment Duke said, "That might be true. It can also be modulated into elixir. If you use the materials yourself, you'll have to pay a heavy price." She said, "Pay?" Duke added, "Yes, at the expense of the life force." Hearing this, she was shocked and asked, "Life force? Does that mean my lifespan?" Duke replied, "Almost like that. So it often resonates with the right materials." She speaks, "Resonates with the right materials." At that moment, the Duke extended his hand forward. There were some gold coins in it, and then he said, "Each wizard will have their own right material. For example, mine is gold." Then the Duke used magic. In an instant, a golden bracelet appeared on Eluana's wrist, and then he added, "Like this. It can be transformed into any shape, or make weapons after putting some magic into them. When you change its shape, it will take your energy. Have you ever felt your heart beating faster while melting a sword?" She replied, "Yes, I did." Duke speaks, "That's the resonance. The more specific the shape, the stronger the resonance becomes. You must have resonated with that sword." She replied, "Yes." Then she think, "But I don't want anybody to get hurt." Then Duke said, "Good wizards rely more on knowledge than magical power. When we return to the dukedom, I'll teach you basics knowledge." Hearing this, Eluana speaks, "Do I need to take a magic test in front of the Grand Prince to prove your words?" Duke says, Only members of the Spes family can use magic. If I admit you are one of them, then that's what it is, she said. Then, Duke added, first, I'll announce that Ran Vita was a member of the Spes family. After that, just say that you inherited your magic from him. Despite being from a fallen family, Ran Vita is still a noble. Impersonating him can be considered a felony. So I'll take of his funeral. Hearing all this, she began to think, he's doing all of this so that I won't be called the Duke's illegitimate child, and let me live as my father's daughter, Ran Vita. Maybe that's better for me, and also for Louis. Then she bowed respectfully and said, thanks for your help. Duke speaks. You're acting like I'm a stranger, she says. I want to take Louis with me. He's Stella's son? At that moment, Louis woke up. After a long journey, they finally arrived at the Yones. Seeing this, Eluana was surprised and said, wow, it's so big. Then Louis asked, sister, is this your first time coming to a place like this? Then he winked, smiled, and added, but I'd been to Yones before. It was huge, and so beautiful. Duke speaks. Let's get down. Then the Duke stepped out of the carriage and extended his hand toward Eluana, inviting her to step down with the same courtesy and respect given to a princess. Seeing this, she began to think, he wants to help me? But I can get down by myself. Never mind. We'll become closer in the future anyway. His hand felt warm. Then the Duke lifted Louis and helped him step down from the carriage. Suddenly, someone said, please stop. At that moment, a boy came running toward them and shouted, yes? Duke, Duke, our precious Duke. Oh my! Then he came closer to them, breathing heavily. At that moment, he speaks. I am the Duke's assistant. My name is Noah Nielsen. Nice to meet you. Eluana says. Hello. Then Noah added, I can't believe you've grown this much. Time really flies. You have suffered for so long and, even in prison, I feel like my heart is about to break. Hearing this, Eluana thinks, why is this man suddenly? Then Duke speaks. Noah, stop being so emotional. Let's go inside. Noah says. All right. As soon as they entered, the servants bowed respectfully and greeted them. At that moment, a maid asked, Duke, would you like to eat first? Or take a bath first? Eluana speaks. I want to take a bath first. A maid says. Please come this way. You can use these 2 rooms. The bath has already been prepared inside. Please call me if you need anything. Then Eluana went into the room and began bathing. She was sitting in the tub when she gently rubbed her hand on her waist, and she started thinking, when it touches water, it doesn't hurt anymore. Even a resting place is this luxurious. Then, how big and splendid is the Duke's mansion? Dad, is my life going to be better? I'm glad if that's real. Meanwhile, Noah tells the Duke, Ran Vita's sword is in the auction. Duke said, collect them all. Noah says, so that money is under Lady Eluana's name? Duke speaks, that's right. Buy all of them. Then Noah picked up a paper and said, no matter how urgent it is, you suddenly disappeared. I thought you were attacked. Duke speaks, among them, there is a sword that has magic. I'm curious why Ran Vita created it. So I came here through the teleport portal. Hearing this, Noah says, but at least you should have brought a little more gold. After all, it's fight with the great prince. Then Duke said, that great prince beat my daughter up. Hearing this, Noah was surprised and says, did you kill the great prince? So, the next emperor will be? Duke asked, what kind of person do you think I am? Noah replied, usually isn't it going to be like that? Duke added, I didn't kill him, just a little bit of threat. Then Noah speaks, thank God that you didn't kill him. If you kill him, there will be a civil war. Duke said, I know. At that moment, Noah added, seriously, I don't know whether I should be upset or congratulate you. Then Duke speaks, of course congrats. I have a hard time finding my daughter. Noah said, everyone will be surprised if looking at you too. Are you planning to adopt that Louis kid too? Duke replied, of course. Then the Duke told Noah that he's Stella's son. For 15 years, I searched everywhere for Stella. She's got married and have children with another man. At that moment, the Duke took the last sip of his drink, stood up, and said, and then, let's talk about that another time. Find someone reliable to escort the children. Noah says, yes. And also, the clock tower. Can you hear the bell? Noah replied, yes. I had it installed last year. Duke speaks, from tomorrow, I don't want to hear that bell anymore. Noah said, Yes? Duke says. The bell. Remove it. Noah reply. That's a little bit. From now to tomorrow, the dukedom. Remove all the bells at the clock tower. At that moment, Noah noted it in his diary and said, I will do it right away, as soon as possible. Then he began to think, I have no idea what the Duke is thinking. After a while, Noah asked, And, have you told Lady Eluana? Duke replied, Yes. Then Noah asked, Is she surprised? You suddenly appeared and said you are her biological father? After all, Duke replied, Seems like she thinks that I abandoned Stella. After staying silent for a while, the Duke told Noah that, 1 month before the wedding, but I am the one who was abandoned. Then the Duke says that she wrote me a letter in which it was written, Goodbye Taruto. I have to go. I hope that you won't search for me, though I'm sure you'll still be doing that. Sorry for making this selfish decision. Duke stood there very sadly, then he started thinking, Stella doesn't trust me anymore? Hearing all this, Noah said, You must have been worried. Duke speaks, Maybe. That's because I'm incompetent. Even the Emperor can't change it. He says, That's your scary point. You didn't mind going to war for Miss Stella. But surely Miss Stella didn't want that. Looks like she reached out to Eluana Vita for help. Eluana Vita has taken good care of Lady Eluana, even after Miss Stella passed away. Then Duke asked, So I have to feel thankful? Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Duke says, Come in. Louis opened the door and came inside. Seeing him, Noah smiled and said, Oh my, such a lovely boy. Then he asked, You need something? Louis replied, I thank you so much for bringing me here. I'll just eat a little and won't cause any trouble. With my sister. Just let me stay with my sister. Hearing this, both of them fell silent. Then Louis added, Only 1 meal a day is okay. At that moment Duke speaks, How can you live with just 1 meal a day? What I really want is that you eat well every day, and grow up healthy. Hearing this, Louis asked, Really? Duke replied, Of course. Then Louis smiled and says, If so, I'm very confident. I will grow up well. Duke said, All right, good to hear that. Louis bowed respectfully and speaks, Thank you very much. Meanwhile, a boy was standing there worried, holding a piece of paper in his hand. Then speaks, Why hasn't he come yet? He told me he arrived yesterday. Or did he die on the way, or something bad happened? Suddenly Karzer came and said, I'm not dead yet. Seeing him, he was shocked and asked, Your Highness? Why are you so late? Karzer went straight to the sofa, lay down, and replied, I drank red fire. Hearing this, he asked, Red fire? Can you see anything? Karzer replied, I lost consciousness at first, but after taking the antidote, it's a bit better. Then he picked up a bottle, took out the antidote from it, and speaks, Red fire. You drank such a horrible thing and still came back here alone? He offered a glass of antidote to Karzer and said, Drink this. At that moment, Karzer drank it, and very quickly he began to see clearly, and he said, It works fast. He speaks, Of course, I made it myself. Now tell me, what happened? Even after taking turns, no trace of your highness could be found, so, Karzer smiled and says, You had to do that because you aren't competent. Hearing this, he was shocked and asked, Me? You said me? The head of the Edelweiss intelligence organization is not competent. Karzer replied, Then does the head of the intelligence organization have information about Eluana Vita? Give me all of it. Hearing this, he sat down and said, Eluana Vita? At that moment, he took out a box of files from the cupboard and added, The Brilliant Night of Despair and The Silence of the Black Sun of Eluana Vita appeared at the auction a few days ago, so the ransom has been pushed very high. The other 2 were bought by the Spes family. Thanks to that, people are constantly asking for the following works. There you go. This is information updated 2 months ago. Then he took a paper out of the box, read it. Eluana Vita, 30 years ago. He was the only one who survived when his family went bankrupt. No trace of him for the first 10 years. He appeared in Aden when he became an adult. That's where he opened a smithy. And he also created a pretty good sword. Hearing this, Karzer said, Pretty good? He added, Not to the point of outstanding. It's just that compared to the price, the quality is pretty good. His wife died after giving birth to the second child. His daughter is 15 years old, and his son is 6 years old. After his wife died, he began to receive accolades. It's like his talent suddenly burst. Since then he became famous at the auction. After the sword was auctioned for 1,000 gold, Karzer picked up the sword and looked at it, then said, "The brilliant night of despair and the silence of the black sun? The price will still increase, at least 5 times more." Then speaks, "It seems like you haven't heard the news yet. A few days ago the auction item went up to 1780 gold. Then Karzer says, "Yeah, 5 times more." Hearing this, he was shocked, said, "Oh my, could it be?" Karzer says, "This one has been alchemy, so?" He asked, "Alchemy? Why do you say that?" Karzer replied, "Because the Crown Prince's precious sword was broken by Eluana Vita's sword." Hearing this, he was surprised and shouted, "What? The Crown Prince's precious sword? Isn't it a national treasure? Maybe Regis sneaked it out. He really likes to cause trouble." Then what's next? Karzer speaks, "I met Eluana Vita, Eluana Vita's daughter, in the prison. She used alchemy. She doesn't seem to know what she did, though she bent the iron bars and hung the guards." Hearing this, he was surprised and shouted, "What a genius! If her suitable material is iron, then the uses are limitless." At that moment, Karzer raised the sword and struck the iron candlestick stand in one blow, and it broke into 2 pieces. Then he looked at the sword and said, "Of course, all swords are made of iron." Hearing this, he was shocked and shouted, "Only swords? Most weapons have iron mixed in them. As long as you use the powers properly, you will become the most powerful on this continent." Then, when Karzer's sword rested against his neck, he began to speak with remarkable calm. Whether it was to strengthen weapons or armor, the construction of carriage frames or iron chains was also particularly expensive. Then he asked, "Or do we start by kidnapping Eluana Vita?" Karzer replied, "It's no use. She's in the hands of Duke Spes," he said. "That fast?" Karzer says, "I'm there with Eluana, but..." At that time, Duke Spes ran over with great urgency. He had never made such a face before. Then he asked, "But why does Spes get involved in Vita's affairs?" Karzer replied, "That's what you have to find out. Eluana Vita has green eyes." He speaks, "Green eyes are the symbol of the original Catino royal family. Could it be that she is of mixed blood between the Spes and Catino families?" Karzer said, "This is the most important secret that can change the fate of the whole continent." Then he asked again, "Please tell me, what do you remember about Eluana Vita?" Karzer replied, "A fish," he said. "Huh? What?" Karzer added, "Like a fish caught by a spear." Suddenly he shouted, "You're smiling? God, did I give you the wrong antidote? Wait a minute! I'll make another one for you." Karzer says, "I'm good." He asked again, "Ah, but how did you eat red fire?" Karzer replied, "Hawk betrayed me." Hearing this, he began to think. Like siblings for about 10 years, Hawk was always in charge of escorting him. Betray. Then Karzer said, "Find Hawk." He speaks, "Ah, he's dead. While searching for your highness, I found him dead in the forest. His limbs were amputated, so he couldn't be saved." At that moment Karzer said, "I was going to kill him myself." He says, "I can roughly guess the reason, but there is news that his sister also disappeared a month ago." Karzer speaks, "So he betrayed me, not for money or honor. So that's how it is." Then he said, "Should I stop looking for his sister?" Karzer speaks, "Find her and send her to his house. No need to report it to me." By that time, Regis was in Aden. He replied, "Ah, right. I heard that he suddenly went on vacation." Karzer says, "Aden isn't the right place for a vacation. He's obviously there for something else. It seems like something strange is happening in Aden. The mana level is unbelievably low." He speaks, "The mana level? I'll find out if Prince Regis has something to do with this. If not, it's probably caused by the people in the Western Magic Tower." Karzer added, "Ah, in front of the portal. I saw some wizards carrying royal licenses, because they didn't wear capes. They secretly used the teleport portal?" He said, "Wait a minute!" At that moment, he started searching through his files. Then he took out a few pictures and placed them in front of Karzer. Then he asked, "Do any of them look like one of these people?" Karzer replied, "This one, and this one, this one, and those two too." He speaks, "This person is the owner of the West Tower. The fourth group already. The other 3 groups are all elites from the West Tower." Karzer said, "Not somewhere else. That place. The elites from the West Tower. So strange. Quickly call the intelligence agent. Who has been to the West Tower?" Meanwhile, the 2 of them arrived at the Duke mansion with the Duke. Eluana was astonished when she saw the teleportation portal. Then she said, "So this is the teleport portal." Duke speaks. "The immigration gate is 2 times bigger." "Ah, no, 3 times bigger than this." When they got close to the mansion, both of them were surprised to see it. Then Eluana began to think, "This is the mansion of Duke Spes." Then her gaze fell on the lavenders, and she said, "Exactly like the painting my mother drew." Duke replied, "Lavender is a special feature of this place. This lavender farm stretches to the skyline. It is also a famous site in the Spes family territory." As they entered the mansion, the servants stood there bowing their heads to welcome them. Butler says, "Welcome back safely." Then Duke speaks, "Prepare me a room with the scent of lavender and chrysanthemums. Call Baron Rise's wife as well." At that moment, the Duke stepped forward, then stopped and added, "If the owner of the lavender room calls, you must come, even if you have to crawl. Understand?" he said. "Yes, I understand." At that moment, Noah stepped forward and says, "Please take care of the lady." Butler speaks, "I will do my best." Then the butler went to them and speaks, "Welcome to Duke Spes's mansion. I am the butler Dave Joe." Then the butler led them inside. He takes Eluana to a room and tells her that the door on the left leads to the bathroom. The door on the right is the changing room. This side is the reading room. At that moment, she began to think, it's not just a lavender room. This place should be called a lavender house. Then her gaze fell on a picture that belonged to her mother. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share, and subscribe. It helps us grow.